before we go forward, I need your hands one last time. We're going to clap. Boom, boom, clap. So that's how we show love. It's one heartbeat. I can't touch everybody, but we believe in people, in the power of people. That's what Opportunity Youth United is about. I appreciate the fact that y'all already opened up the book. It's online digitally. I'm going to be quiet. Brother L, take a step, please.
Hi, this is work. Can you guys hear me? I think it works now. Hey. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lashon Amado. I'm from Boston. Hopefully that doesn't turn most of you off. But I just want to quickly talk to you guys about Opportunity Youth United and sort of what it is and what we hope to make of it. But on the big picture, Opportunity Youth United is a movement, a national movement of low-income young people who may be out of school or out of work, who are dedicated to ending poverty in their communities, right? Because I think what Tremaine, I think I said her name right, mentioned was there are a lot of conversations, there are a lot of decisions being made about young people, and no one from that particular community or no one who's young is a part of those conversations. So we're trying to change that. And it started off on the national level. 20 of us on the National Council of Young Leaders came together from various different communities, and we just sat down. It was revealed that there are 5.5 million young people in the United States who are without opportunity, who don't have a job, who are not getting their education, and just left on the street. So we said, we have to do something about this, because we can't wait around for the government or anyone else to save our communities. It's gonna take us. So the 20 of us got together and we talked about it, like, what is it that's getting in the way of our success? So we came up with some common challenges, but what was different was a lot of times young people know what the challenges are, but sometimes we can't get folks to get into the solutions, right? What is it gonna take to make these changes? So that's what we did. We came up with some solutions to bring opportunity into our communities, and then we laid it out in that document that you have in front of you. I would recommend that you read it through and reach out to us if you have any feedback. But essentially, we're calling for more programming in our communities, right? More access to mentors, more access to higher education, more access to engage in service, and more access for reentry services for individuals who may have bumped up into the justice system but need that opportunity to reconnect to society. So it was national. We would fly to DC. We got this booklet. We were meeting with all these important people. It was great, but we weren't feeling the impact in our community. So that led us to launch into a movement, which is OIU. So now we are working in 10 communities where we have groups of 20 to 30 young leaders who are, again, they are the change agents, right? They know what the change are, and they're working with their elected officials to create that agenda. In Boston, talk about young people going to elected officials. In Boston, they had their own forum, and the mayor and all his buddies had to come to them, had to come to their community and talk to them about criminal justice in the city and why violence in the city is 3 times the national average. So they had a forum in their community, 200 community members, not just young people, senators, adults, young people. And even a young woman came through, and her husband, who was locked up, was on the phone, and he got to tell his story through a collect call on the microphone, but everyone got to hear the impact of the system directly from the source. In New Orleans, their young people don't have jobs. The New Orleans Cat there, they organized their own job fair. They did their own workshops. They organized that whole entire event. So again, OIU is about young people not waiting around for government to come and provide these services. It's about them, again, being at the forefront of the change. So again, we're working in 10 communities right now. I'm happy to announce that we just locked in a partner in New York. So we have a New York community action team that we're trying to build out, and we need all of you in this room to help us make that happen, because just like the assembly member just said, we are no movement without people, right? And there's power just in this room. If we were to have all of you a part of the CAT, we will already be making a mark and starting to raise some of the issues that you guys care about. Because I'll just end with this piece, part of OIU, one of our strategies to building youth power is through civic engagement, is through voting, right? Because the reality is, the reasons why a lot of the issues that we care about get ignored is because we don't put that pressure on our elected officials, like how she just said. They're not sending those letters or making those calls. So it's easy for them to just sweep us under the rug. But once they know that every decision that they make, young people are going to come out or knock on their doors or show up to their offices or organize their communities, they're going to listen to us. And that needs to happen on a local level, because when there's a pothole in your community or someone gets shot in your community or there's a drug dose in your community, guess what? Trump, Obama, Clinton, whoever's president is not coming to your community to solve that. All the issues that you care about are decided in New York on the local level. Education, police, social services, all of that. But yet, everyone's quick to come out to vote for the president, but when it's time to vote for the people who control your daily lives, folks are not coming out. So I would urge you to get engaged and yourselves, but also encourage your friends, your peers, your mothers, your brothers, your sisters, because remember, it's going to take it's going to take the community to save the community. So we're trying to do that through the Voices of Opportunity Youth United. Hopefully you guys will join us in making that happen. But I'll just stop there, and I'll pass the mic to...
Yeah, we're going to kick it to Kim, and I want to kind of make sure, thank you, El. I want to make sure we kind of acknowledge Ryan from New Orleans and Shanice, who's a part of from Baltimore, and even Shanice in Atlanta, in a way where Brother El, he downplays his role, but he is the national community organizer, coordinator when it comes to community action teams. So I would encourage you all to follow up with him moving forward. But on the flip side, Sister Kim, being from Philadelphia, being a community organizer, national activist, in a way where this partnership between National Council of Young Leaders, OYU, back in 2009, it was more so, don't make a decision about us without us. When it comes to young people ages 16 to 24, stop creating all these policies and procedures if we're not at the table. So that's one thing OIU, Aspen Forum for Community Solutions, has always been about. Whether you be at the planning table together, co-creating, or for real, let the young people set the table like Boston did and invite them to come bust it up with us. So, Sister Kim, as a sponsoring organization, you being in Philadelphia, and to really making sure we talk about this identity and advocacy, one thing as far as your skill sets, like what are some of those things, how do you advocate, and you even moving forward in your career? Would you mind talking to the people?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I'm actually sponsored. I'm with the National Council of Young Leaders, and we all have sponsoring organization who supports our work and allows us to travel all over the country to do our advocacy work around the opportunity youth population, young people between ages 16 to 24 who are often disconnected from employment opportunities or education opportunities, opportunities that build our growth as going from young people to becoming adults. And making sure we have a successful transition. So being a part of the movement Opportunity Youth United, it's been, I guess it's a part of my history. I was a young person in the city of Philadelphia, disconnected. I went through, almost all our alternative options in the city of Philadelphia. After I got myself together, I guess, after I got my diploma and stuff like that, like we all do, we look for a job. I wind up, my first job, actually legit job, getting paid some type of money, was with the YMCA. I was a camp counselor, working with young people. I always knew I wanted to work with people. I really enjoy talking to people. I just love socializing. Through that experience, I learned that, it was beyond just working with young people for the summer. This is what I want to do. I want to work with people. From there, I started working at their daycare. And I chose to go for early childhood as my major. From there, I learned that, I didn't want to just focus on children and just teach children. I wanted to worry about the well-being also of what's going on in the house and what's going on with parents, why are kids coming in a little messed up and things like that. But just that little journey of those couple jobs I had, after I turned 18, really led me into a solid place of I'm going to really work with people. That's my dream, that's my goal, is to really make sure I help someone the same way someone helped me out. And that's been an ongoing process. People been helping me forever. But just moving into where we are now, just my commitment to my city. You know, I'm one person, and my zip code is 19134. I'm one out of 500 young people that actually get reconnected to something. That's one zip code, y'all. I know you guys have a lot of zip codes here in New York, so I can only imagine. But just having that thought, that whole vision of being one person out of your community and having a voice, it just didn't sit right with me. I knew, you know, looking around in my community, it was way more people that were just disconnected, that we talk about these things. You know, we may not be articulating them the way we sit at certain tables, but we do talk about these issues, and we talk about our struggles, and we also talk about trying to overcome that struggle, you know. So that led me to a real leadership position in my city, to work with big decision makers in my city who make decisions for young people. None of those people were young that were making decisions for us, nor did any of them sometimes come from our background, come from these communities that are underserved, are underrepresented. So, and then with my identity, I'm multi-ethnic. I'm Asian and I'm Hispanic, and I live in a black and brown community, and I'm the only Asian person. So I also have to hold that fort down. Looking at other ethnic groups and looking at how they're facing these challenges, on top of looking at my own identity and how does that resonate for me, sitting in my community full of a lot of black and brown people who face the same thing that I do. Moving into a space with our community getting a grant from the Aspen Forum for Community Solution. There's 23 communities that are getting some money for young people to solve the issues that young people are faced with when it comes down to disconnection. And they believed, they took, let's just say, they made an investment in my struggle. I was not all ready to be a leader. You know, I was still growing. I'm still an emerging leader. But they seen that I was ready to not only share my story, but also think about those solutions to these problems and to these issues, and be willing to engage in those conversations with people I often don't engage with. I'm not talking to my elected officials all the time, because in reality, they're not in our communities. They're at their offices, and they only sometimes come out to get that vote. Ooh, you know, and that's just reality. But, you know, moving into the OYU and OYIF space, it was just, you know, an organization that sees the potential and sees the growth in young people and wanting to make an investment in their growth. And that allowed me to really be a part of the National Council of Young Leaders family, and allowed me to really challenge myself in places I've never been in before. You know, last year we got to throw a huge civic engagement summit that was actually designed by a lot of young people, young adults like myself, engage other 600 young people around voter education, around civic education. You know, things that we're not really being taught in our communities for whatever reasons. Lack of funding, lack of resources. The money's there, things are there, but, you know, in our reality, our self-will and our voice sometimes is on silent. And it varies. You know, us young people, we're faced with a lot of different things. But I know for me, I know a lot of that, you know, our infrastructure. When you're looking at strip clubs, corner stores all the times and things like that, you don't know who are you supposed to talk to about these type of issues and things like that. But I'm just going to close it there and pass it to one of these ladies and these young ladies here.
So look, I'm gonna hold it to the end, but I want you all to ask questions, because I know the time is money, money is time. We don't like wasting money, so we're not gonna waste your time. Well, write those questions down. But I'm gonna kind of kick it. Thank you, Sister Kim, Brother L, and we're gonna kind of come with Jacob right here, because when it's all said and done, when you talk about that identity, even though he wasn't a founding member of the National Council of Young Leaders, what he's doing with the Opportunity Youth Incentive Fund around identity and gender talk, like when it's all said and done, that confidence that you have. What are some of those skill sets? And I know you're gonna do a workshop, but shoot, if you don't know, now you know. Put them on, Jake.
Oh. That was so nice. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Jamiel. So, in case you didn't read my bio in your little program, I am a non-binary femme girl. I use she, her pronouns. I love you, Jamiel. I caught you. And I'm from rural Northern California, so why am I here right now, right? I literally flew all day yesterday to be here with y'all because what my heart work is, I do queer culture work, I do community organizing back home, and to me, the pieces that we're talking about identity and ultimately respectability politics, those are the things that are holding our communities back, right? And there are intersections to be found. And I really wanted to shout out to Assemblymember De La Rosa from our previous panel, who drew the connection between rural and urban, right? We have to look at statewide communities. We have to look at national communities, because ultimately, if we're to take any example, look at the presidential race, right? If we leave out the areas that are less desirable for whatever reason, right? Kim, you're talking about strip clubs and corner stores, and people don't know where to look in the community. In my community, we have some of the few undammed rivers in the country that are still left undammed. Wild rivers. We have redwoods that flow right into the ocean. It's one of the most beautiful places in the whole country. That being said, there are literally no jobs. There is no industry. You say the money's there. For some communities, the money is literally not, right? We're a fishing and logging community, and because of government sanctions, those industries were shut down. My community sees extreme rates of poverty, extreme rates of substance abuse. I am a survivor of addiction. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. My community is actually #1 in the entire, thank you. Thank you. My community is #1 in the entire state of California for rates of domestic violence. And we're a very small community. Per capita, we have the highest rates. And so you have to look at the intersections, and again, this goes back to race and gender and sexuality. Like, I'm the white one on the panel, in case you didn't see, right? And we experience the same kinds of oppression through the same means by the powers that be, right? When you look at, when you look at housing, when you look at gentrification, when you look at government policies, when you look at the people that the private sector will or will not hire, how do you have to edit yourself to make yourself hireable? And that's the part of the identity conversation that I love talking about, because look at me, right? I live in one of the very few red, Republican, conservative as hell counties in the very, very blue state of California. When I walk into a job interview, I do not look like this. I wouldn't get hired. And I've been technically unemployed for the last 8 months. I live below the poverty line, and I am a living example that there is inequity within the equity movement.
Man, I'm ready to drop the mic. So thank you. Coming in from Cali and all that, traveling all day, was stuck in Dallas and all.
Just a little bit. If you want to hear more, come to my workshop. #queerasfuck. What up?
Hey, let's get it. So let's bring it back down. If it wasn't for the Bronx, this rap wouldn't be even going on. Sister Teresa, she was here with us last year and really gave that high-level overview. But what you've been doing within the past year, your local connection, when it's all said and done, yeah, put us on, Sister T.
All right, cool. Well, first I wanted to know how many people in here are from the Bronx. We got a lot of y'all, like West Side, East Side, Uptown. I heard you. Okay, cool. All right, so, all right, where to start? So a lot of the work that I do is in the South Bronx, in Hunts Point, actually. And when people hear of Hunts Point, I know a lot of people be like, why are you going over there? What are you doing down there? And Hunts Point gets a bad rep because there is a high level of prostitution and drugs and things like that, but there is also so many beautiful things happening in Hunts Point. And while we talk about problems and the struggles, I also think it's important that we highlight all the awesome and amazing things that people are doing in our communities. So what I do is I work at The Point, which is a community center in Hunts Point, and they focus on tying together arts and activism. So what I do is I run a women's empowerment group for women identified people. So that's just anybody, any young people that identify as a woman. And yeah, basically we just focus on creating that space for people to find themselves, find their identity, and find their people, which I think is very important to the work that we're doing, is finding people that you can connect with and that's gonna be understanding and accepting. So yeah, our women's group, basically we started because there was a high level of violence against women in Hunts Point. So we felt like we needed a space for young women to come together and just have that space all to themselves. And we meet weekly. If you need more information, you can holler at me after this. Our main project is a zine that we do. Basically, the young women felt like mainstream magazines, they weren't catering towards us, so why not make our own? So they're able to put their stuff in here and just giving them a platform to express themselves. I also brought a handful of these if anybody wants to grab one. But that's basically what our focus of our work is just creating a space for people to find their authentic selves and express themselves and just do that safely with no judgment.
Let's give them some love, y'all. So we got the 5-minute mark, and I want to kind of open it up to question. I appreciate Big Brother Dave that's in the building, Youth Building the building, and the Harlem Connection, been holding it down for a minute, and he brought his team out here. And I just want to kind of make a point right here as we transition, and I want to kind of have a conversation with the panel. Anybody can answer. So when it comes to this whole identity, advocacy, and career, I call him Brother DQ earlier was talking about, he survived that moment in Alabama, right? And just being from my community and just coming from a juvenile justice background as far as, growing in the streets of Philadelphia. Like I tell people all the time, I respect the fact that New York is home of the hustle, but when it's all said and done, Philadelphia, like it is what it is. Like we know how to make the quarter scream until that E will come off that thing when it's all said and done. So I want to kind of ask you all as a panel, like we talking about voice, we talking about those skill sets as far as like as these young people move forward, like how do you hone yourself in order to kind of have this social justice equity lens moving forward in a world, going back to the conversation earlier, he was saying like, on some G, we volunteer. We do this on the strength because we love it and we know that there's 5.5 million young people that need us to kind of advocate for them, whether it be in DC, whether it be in corporate America or whatever. So how can we, thank you, Brother L.
Derek? Okay. It's kind of like if any of you fly, right, and they tell you, put on your face mask before you help someone else, right? And a lot of times in the social justice space, like we are not complete and we're so passionate in our communities. But there were times, like he said, in this, when I was being introduced to this national scene and asked to go fly here and fly there, but I was also working full-time and I was also going to school full-time. So I was being asked to be pulled out of these pathways of success, right? To come up and do all these different things, right? Sometimes with no pay. So I think that when you're in the social justice phase, a lot of times you do have to be selfish and invest in yourself in the front end so that you can be that more effective to your communities, right? Because if you're out there telling your communities they need to get educated, telling your communities they need to own their own houses, or telling your communities they can have a career path, you have to be the example because that's all they're hearing, right? Our communities need to see, right? And they need to see it coming from folks that they can relate to and not seeing it on TV or whatever it may be. And again, sometimes we're so passionate about these things that it's like I can't turn a blind eye to it. But I think, again, you have to, don't look at it as being selfish. You have to invest in yourself and then pay it forward to your community. So with OIU, we recognize that why young people are not engaged, right? They're not working, they're not in school, they don't have anywhere to go. But we, OIU, have connections to 20 national sponsor organizations. So our first point of contact is, hey, you need a job, education, hey, go to Youthville, go to Public Allies, go here, there. And while you're there, now we're going to ask you to pay it forward and make sure that these programs are available for your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, whoever comes behind you. Because right now, a lot of these programs are at risk of losing funding, and a lot of these doors are going to close, and the only person that's going to keep them open are the young people who are taking advantage of them now, which is all of you. So again, take care of yourself. Be selfish, get everything you need, but make sure that you're paying it forward so that these doors and these programs or whatever else for those that come behind you is available as well.
Nice. Nice. So we want to kick it over to the audience. Any questions, any Q&A, any thoughts? But I am going to ask while you kind of get your thoughts together, can I get a volunteer, right? Old school. Oh, I love you, Sister Jada Jordan from Queens. Would you mind bringing that book, right? Oh, my Lord. Bringing the book, and we're just going to kind of read off the 6 recommendations. And as you all get if you can't open the book, just real quick, I want to kind of raise your consciousness real quick. I know we said the 10 commandments, but when it's all said and done, we're going to do the 6. Can I use this real quick? Oh, okay. And we're just going to read off those 6, if you don't mind. Please and thank you. So let me tell y'all about Sister Jada. When it's all said and done, you got to get to know your people. The sister is actually a paid intern, holding it down 3 months, getting paid to be here. And I want to kind of bring back what the brother said earlier, because I'm the dude that I volunteer because I just love to help and serve. I came through the AmeriCorps program, so it just is what it is. But I'm challenging myself, just like Lashon. I'm not a young boy no more. I got a daughter that's 13 years old. We ready for college, and I got a wife to take care of. So, with that being said, Sister Jada, what are our 6 recommendations when we go to the policymakers? Because you got to come at it with them.
I'm sorry, guys, if y'all didn't hear me. Effective comprehensive programs, national service, private internship, all forms of mentoring, access to higher education, diversion, and re-entry programs in the justice system.
Let's give her some love, y'all. Thank you, Sister Jada. Any questions from the audience? I appreciate it, because you're going to all see us at oyunited.com. We're going to come .org. Thank you. Look, my team hold me down. I get excited. We coming at the end. I almost feel like we kind of help with the time a little bit because we're running behind. So we can cut it here if you like, and we can come back towards the end. Sister Carrie, thank you so much, and JT. We appreciate y'all. See y'all later.
Ladies and gentlemen, back by popular demand is Nagi Omar.
Can most people see me? Yes. Okay, good. So I don't have to get on the. What's up, Star? I don't have to get on the stage. I'm just gonna adjust the mic a little bit. Okay, so I know that this has probably been a very full day of events. Raise your hand if you've been in this room all day. Great, and so I know that you all are probably maybe just feeling a little bit antsy, and so I'm going to, and I know nobody actually is feeling antsy, it's probably just me. So I am going to ask that this be one participatory. So is that okay that we have a little bit of participation going on? Yes. Okay, good. So some things that you should know about me. JT did mention my name is Nagi Omar. So I am a poet, an educator, and recently I'm the founder director of my own organization, which is called Spark House. And what we do is we are dedicated to developing youth voices using poetry and literacy as the point of access. So I provide poetry programs to young people in schools, community organizations, and juvenile justice facilities. A lot of that is my background, but not too long ago, I was sitting right where you were in those seats. And then I kind of have worked in to the point where I could create my own organization. So I'm really fortunate to be able to have done that. And I'm excited to just be here with you all. So can you all just give yourselves a round of applause? Great. So I did mention that I work with young people, and so I'm going to treat the room the same way I would treat the room when I'm working with a group of anybody that has to deal with me for 45 minutes to 90 minutes, however long my sessions are. So the first thing, we have something called house agreements. And so the first thing I'm going to ask today is that you just make as much noise as possible. Because noise for me, it gets me moving. It's like the pulse to my heartbeat. So I'm gonna count to 3, and right at the number 3 mark, if you could just make as much noise as possible, that'll be great. Can we do that? All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was good. But I feel like we could do a little bit better. I need you to make noise like you've been sitting in this room all day, all right? So we're gonna try it one more time. We're gonna do it 1, 2, 3. All right, we're good. Can you still hear me? All right, good. All right, believe it or not, that really does help me. All right, I heard some people I heard the Bronx was in the building, right? The Bronx is here. Is Queens here? Okay. Queens is, okay, it's a little shaky, but when we here too, we gotta show love to Queens. Harlem? Wow, Harlem is usually representing a little bit more than that. Staten Island? Staten Island, y'all are mighty. Always, because you have the boat and everything in the water. So I appreciate you everywhere I go. What about Brooklyn? Brooklyn is always representing. Where's the Bronx at? Okay, all right. It's a tie between Brooklyn and the Bronx. And maybe Queens. Really quickly, anybody listen to hip hop music? Okay. Who's in the top 5 right now? Who's in the top 5? Just throw it out. I heard J. Cole. Who else? Jay-Z. Okay, he just 444. Did somebody say 21 Savage? Oh. Who'd you say? Chance the Rapper. All right, okay. Who else? Kendrick. Who'd you say? Joe. Oh, I don't know. But I heard Kendrick. All right, so it seems like we're all in the consensus. I'm gonna open up with this. I just wrote this 15 minutes ago, and I wrote it because later today I'm going to Kendrick's concert at the Barclays Center. All right, so this one is called Amen. Kendrick, cognac gargling, kettle whistling, shea butter smearing, disruptive hip hop. Quiet is the growl of King Kunta, ruler of mortal man that can't stop, won't stop, a pimpin' and butterflies got their wings on him. When the second coming of cornrow saviors flutters his swag from Compton to Barclays, ain't no question if we gonna be all right. He spit a verse and our feet burst to flames. He got that tongue-twisting praise in double time Kendrick. His throat be a battleground for devils and gangs as he prays to Pac, his redeemer. Dare they question his black boy naps? The hairs on him ain't the only thing twisted. DNA with his black on black slippage, he reneged. But every good record got a track worth skipping, and just like that, he's forgiven. Damn. He gave us grooves and 808s for troubles. Every time he backstreet freestyle about being humble, these wounds find sanctuary in his howl. Hallelujah to us black boys, almost dancing, almost flying, almost free, almost. All right, we awake? So I really wrote that because I'm going to the concert and I got a little amped on the J train on the way over here. But I will say that Kendrick really exemplifies and embodies an anti and other. So being a young guy from Compton, right now he's rocking his braids. I feel like he brought braids back in style, right? He's really representing a younger voice in hip hop when he talks about politics and he talks about the range of who we are as a people, right? That is really just phenomenal. So I'm excited to open with Kendrick, and this next piece that I'm going to share with you is called The Anti-Poem. It was inspired by one of my favorite writers, educators, activists. His name is Amiri Baraka. And this is for anybody who has ever felt like an other. Poems are bullcrap unless they are screamed or howled or thrown in your face like a bucket of word vomit. Crouching in the belly of a suicide victim, a cutter, an overweight, a gay, a black, a woman. This poem is an anti, a rebel, a give-in, a sacrifice on the people's altar. We want handouts from the man. Poems. Internet posting, liking, sharing, revolution on our iPad. Poems. Justice poems for Pookie poems. Justice poems for Trayvon poems. Every poem is a Trayvon poem. Poems that bleed, poems that breathe. How much more can we take poems? We want poems like bullets that blindly pick black men. Poems that pierce the bloodlines of someone else's children, that remind us of tears, cotton hoods, pacifiers, mothers crying, labor pains, and birthdays. We want hood poems to rock to, beats to, rock and beat and boom and patent. Rodney King and boom and patent. Muhammad Ali and boom and patent. Hood poems to rock on the backs of filthy dead European designer. Old money, make them rich poems. We are the fossils of the earth.
Come on, Sal.
Open-armed in declaring our worth. Our song is a marching band, gospel hymning in broken throat. It roars, begs for forgiveness and compassion, makes you want it more than just hip-hop, only hip-hop. We are hip-hop, even when we are not. We are love poems. Soul songs shadowing the night, feel ourselves pulsing through ghettos, banging on brick walls, glass peeling from ceilings. We be breaking grammar with our backwards twang, swagging lips, the sharpest flavor to the tongue. Stand on the corner with your dignity wrapped around your waist and your pride tucked between your collar, and watch them squeal. There's a black man leading the free world. There's a free world leading the black man. There's a free world, black man, lead. There's a world needing a free black. Can I steal one of these bottles of water up here? I'll replace it, I promise. All right, if you're still with me, say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, very good. That makes me, I'm very sensitive, so that makes me feel good. Star, how you feeling over there? You good? You good. Okay, so I did mention that I have an organization, and it's called Spark House. And so a lot of the work that I do is with young people, but I also have a background working with young people in juvenile justice facilities, working and teaching workshops with young men and women on Rikers, Crossroads, Horizon Juvenile Center, Good Shepherd Services, Sheltering Arms, you name it, I probably have been there with a group of young people. And so a lot of what I explore with young people when we're talking about identity and we're talking about just their agency and how much power that they actually have, especially in these restrictive spaces, one of the things that has been heartbreaking is really just realizing how many of these young people who are away in these facilities are often just kind of erased and forgotten about. And so the next piece that I wrote just kind of serves as a reminder that there are young people everywhere that deserve to have their voices listened to, and there are young people who are missed. So these are called the hands that hum. These are the hands of a boy. They hold notebooks and pencils with no erasers, and Jordans and styrofoam plates, bed sheets and tissues, cereal boxes and remotes and movie tickets. These hands hold other hands. Older hands and younger hands, moving hands and still hands, never cold hands. They place promises in mothers' hands, sketch secrets in girls' hands, dream to touch a man's hand, their father's hand. These hands wonder what it feels like to share stories between the brush of calluses, how each crack in the skin tells its own tale of who's tougher and way back when and where and how. And these are the hands of a boy who cuff water and scoop sand. These hands build castles with grains of sand and grip bars, candy bars and soap bars and monkey bars and prison bars, the magic that flutters between fingers in the middle of the night. Sometimes these hands weep when lights go dark and doors go boom and locks go click. These hands beg for warmth, for heartbeat, for familiar, and they rest beneath a pillowcase deep enough to deafen even the faintest sounds, the way lonely and scared linger in the melody of hollow rooms. This is when the hands hum a hymn, how beautiful it sounds. 10 fingers in a freedom song, 10 fingers pretending to be brave behind balling fists, 10 fingers clenching grips like teeth and sneaking love poems to the outside. But these hands are waiting to catch someone's hello on the other side of the telephone, waiting for the dude to part ways and make entry for the breaking of morning, waiting to touch tomorrow, waiting to press a thumb against sunlight and caress outdoors, waiting to suffocate their knuckles in the belly of the wind like a baby bird flirts with the edge of its nest. These hands are dying to take flight, but these are a boy's hands, burdened with pride, shunned if they tremble in another's presence. They want to change minds in baby diapers and run across Bible verses, Old Testaments and New Testaments, and declare innocence. The hands want to declare innocence, but the fingerprint is not a finger, and the finger is not a hand, and the hand is not a story. See, these 10 fingers don't do a story justice, but these are just a boy's hands. And these are a son's hands. And these are a student's hands. And these are a dreamer's hands. And they are missed by the notebooks and pencils without erasers, and the Jordans and the styrofoam plates, the bed sheets and the tissues, the cereal boxes and remotes and the movie tickets. We miss you. We all do. Thank you. So I'm going to, is it okay if I do one more? Okay, thank you. So before I close out, once again, my name is Nagi Omar. So you can find me on all social platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at NAJEEOMAR, at Nagi Omar. If we're not connected, connect, say hello. I'm usually on Twitter talking about like the BET Awards or some black event, Queen Sugar, whatever. I'm out there, so just reach out to me. I'm very accessible. Thank you again for having me. This last poem that I want to share with you really kind of echoes some of the conversations that I have with my young people. And so a lot of the times when we're exploring who we are in the room, I remind my young people that sometimes just based off of who you are and what you look like, you are presenting yourself as a threat. Not necessarily that you are a threat, right? But that is sometimes how you perceived. And because when I think about myself and I think about my blackness, sometimes I have been in spaces and where institutions and people who hold positions of power have tried to define what my blackness is or should be. Right? And so this poem is for anyone who has tried to give you a definition of who you are or what you ought to be, and how you can really just claim ownership of your identity for yourself. And so this poem which I'm going to close out, is called Black Is. They say our parents should have burned our cribs. They say us boys and girls become 33% third grade prison statistic type black. Really quickly, when I say type, can you all just say black? Okay, so type. Black. Good. So if I like count and go like 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, type. Black. Good. All right, we good. And if I'm like, oh yeah, so I was going to the corner store, I was at the bodega, and the little cat was over there making sure everything was good, and I picked up a piece of potato chips, but I really wanted some pepper trump cookies, but they didn't have it, so I walked out and I was type. Black. Okay, good. We got to be real strong with it though. Type. Black. Good. All right, good. So we're gonna start it over. They say our parents should have burned our cribs. They say us boys and girls become 33% third grade prison statistic type. Black. They say we be invisible belt wearing, pants hang low, underwear modeling, my balls need a breeze type. Black. They say that we be imprint leaving, angels finger paint with blood on pavements, my chalk outline signature on the corner of Jefferson and Patchen beneath do not cross police line, yellow tape type. Black. That Amado, Trayvon, Bell, Grant, candlelight vigils in my name, Hall of Fame type. Black. That Millie Rock on any block type. Black. That bare naked sprint in New Orleans type. Black. That midnight doggy peddling through the liquid graveyard that cradled my grandmother's body. They found her in the attic, floating next to my manhood, Katrina type. Black. That U.S. drew guns on you, us. Refugees running rampant in my own land. Black man can't swim. Post-traumatic slave syndrome type. Black. They say we be that pinstriped, suit and noose wearing, dream stranglers, hands bare, plucking the promise out of pupils who pledge allegiance to the block type. Black. Who pledge allegiance to the Glock type. Black. Dark black, slave black, field black, sweet teething, chocolate craving, want some of that pitch black, coffee bean, soil rich, burnt crisp type black, not that light black, light back, bright black, house black, high yellow, trail mix, curly, kinky, shea butter, afro, sheen, jerry, waves and curls, pops and locks, swinging, singing love songs in my roots, boom ba-da-da, boom ba-da-da, boom ba-da-da, humming and drumming lines, parading in my braids, drawing color lines that self-divide from way back to black to Ecuador, Dominican, Puerto Salva, Mexico, Caribe, Afro, Oakland, Chi-Town, BX, BK, diasporic type black. See, black is just that. Is more than not white. Is shadow blinding. Is root of power. Is root. Is seed. Is planted in the boogie down and growing in Bed-Stuy. Black is blossom without warning. Is break into smile. Is unfiltered joy draping the sky at night and permitting the sky stars chances to grow. Black is magic. Is lineage. What we come from is black. What is black. What will be is black. Is triumph. Is more than answer. Is question that questions. Black is beginning again and again and again. Maybe it's Dizzy, maybe it's Miles or Herbie or Glasper, maybe it's trumpets blow, maybe it's keys chime, maybe it's revolution and scale disrupting time. Maybe black is back to back. Or black is improv, black is language, black is God between teeth and tongue. Black is born of flesh and ancestors' will, is buried in all of this and refusing to die. So the next time they question what you was, will, or you ought to be, you tell them your black is life without death, is glory, is sanctuary. And if this is not black, then you tell me what is.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's give it up one more time for Nagi. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shawna Jackson. I am from Baltimore, member. I am a founding member of the National Council of Young Leaders, Opportunity Youth United. And so far this afternoon, we have had the distinct pleasure of hearing from public servants, amazing elected officials, from the New York City Commissioner of the Department of Youth and Community Development. Of course, we just had Nagi killing it with the spoken word. You also got to hear a little bit from my friends and colleagues from Opportunity Youth United, and they've just begun to lift up the work that we do around youth engagement, youth advocacy, youth empowerment, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that this afternoon when we do our call to action. But next up, we have some amazing workshops that will allow you to learn more about what interests you. This year, our workshops are centered around advocacy, equity, and the future of work and careers. So before we break out, I just want to provide a quick overview of each session. So first up, we have Jacob. He's going to be in room 290. Jacob represents Gender Talk, and his session is called Queer as Fuck, Loving and Protecting Ourselves. It will focus on claiming a healing space for queer folks and their allies in the audience. The second one is Knowing Your Rights as a Young Adult Immigrant. It's going to be held in room 270 by Make the Road New York, facilitated by Suzanne. This session will offer tools to the immigrant community for dealing with ISC and the current political environment. In room 285, Think 2040, we'll examine how a shift in the rules could change the future of our economy. And this is going to be facilitated by Aman of the Roosevelt Institution. In the main room, we have a session focused on knowing your rights, a guide to really know like what's legal, what's in it, especially when it comes down to employment, as well as some general knowing your rights information around experiences with the criminal justice system and law enforcement. I know a lot of people were really, really looking forward to the Black Lives Institution building and the future of work, but unfortunately that workshop has been canceled for today. So you have your choice of the four: Knowing Your Rights, Loving and Protecting Ourselves, Think 2040, and Knowing Your Rights. So, thank you.